Hi, good morning, mummies and daddies. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to VLC Parent Portal, where we equip, we encourage, and we walk alongside you on this parenting and learning journey. So, we're super excited that you're joining in with us again digitally. And as parents, we're always thinking ahead. We're thinking about school fees, about our kids' well being, we're thinking about planning for the unexpected. And it's when we begin thinking about planning for the expecting it takes us into a space where we begin thinking about insurance. And sometimes insurance can feel like a maze. But that's why today's conversation is such an important one, because we're diving into a topic that often gets overlooked but has the power to give families peace of mind. It's insurance that's supporting your parenting, supporting education, and supporting future planning. And to help us explore this, I'm joined with someone who is not only experienced as an insurance professional, but also someone who understands the unique needs of families. So, joining me for this particular conversation is Ms. Vivian Rampersad, and we're going to be going through and talking about what products there are out there for families, for education, for children, and how insurance can support your child's growth and education, and simple steps that you can take to make sure you can get it done without feeling overwhelmed. So get comfy, grab a notebook, let's jump in as we welcome Ms. Rampersad. So Ms. Rampersad, good morning, and
Good
thank you for
morning
joining us on VLC Parent
to
Portal.
good morning, everybody. Good morning to you as well. My name is Vivian
Excellent.
Ramsar, and I represent Sagicor Life Trinidad and Tobago.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And let me thank you again too for taking time, middle of the office day, to sit and chat with us. And even now, as we get into chatting about family parenting and student focus, the benefits, I want to ask you if you could share with us about insurance from a parent's perspective. What are some of the products do you believe that every parent should consider?
All right. As a young parent, it's good to consider we have several types, right? But the first type would be life insurance coverage, right? Sagicor carries three different aspects of life insurance coverage, so it's affordable for each income bracket. So we have term life insurance with a savings that gives you a high amount of coverage. So for parents who would have, let's say, 3 to 4 children, it will give you maximum coverage with an affordable premium to pay every month or for the year, right? That's one. We have the whole of life or the life paid up at 65. It's one component, but you have two options on which you could pay. So what it does, it you pay until 65 and then you stop pay, but you have coverage until 100. That is how we take care of our families, and those that is how we replace income in the event of death, dying too soon, right? So we are secured. We know that we put that security in place financially for our children because they are the next generation. They are very important. They are our heart and souls, you know. So that the life paid up goes with that. It also has cash values, right? This also, not taking away from the children, but this also help to give security at the bank when you have to purchase homes. When you're starting a family, you want your own home, those kinds of things. So those are some of the benefits on the life component. The third type of life insurance coverage we have is something called our Saver Series endowment, which was not introduced. It's different from the traditional types, which is the term life and the whole of life. The Saver Series endowment, what it does, it gives you all the benefit of the traditional life insurance, but it also gives an extra benefit where it's a living benefit. So instead of dying for a beneficiary to collect, the plan has three terms, which is a 15-year period, a 20-year period, and a 25-year period. So let's say a client is about 40, or let's say 30, right? And you take the 25-year period, the plan matures at age 55. If you do the 20-year, it would mature at age 50. If you do the 15-year, it would mature at age 45. What does that do for you? When your children are very young, right? It's one of the products that could help with education funding. So you get this lump sum that is guaranteed that the government does not tax. So those are our three types of family types insurance coverage, protection, right? And those are some, that is a bit of the advice that I would give to most parents to start with. That is your startup plan. So, what life insurance coverage does, it takes care of food, clothing, shelter, and education. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I would love for you to go a bit deeper into helping parents really understand how insurance can support the child's education journey, whether now or in the future.
Mhm. Right. So, as I was explaining, with the term life, the savings element is what we put. So we would, that is something we would sit and we would decide, well, what amount you would like to have on a short term or long term period. And then we discuss that based on the budget, right? We talked about budget in the inception when you give your introduction, how affordable it is for our client right now. And what we do, we work with a budget. It doesn't mean that it stays standard because things grow after a period. So in a 5 year period or maybe a 10 year period or within that time, we every year it's good to do a review. So what can happen is that we can increase on the savings element. Cash values on the whole of life does build, so you can use the cash values to borrow loan for education purposes. So if it is that the child is at a younger stage and you want to do something extraordinary in terms of education, you can borrow a loan and the term like the whole life policy will do such for you, right? As I was as at uh, the last the last element, which is the saver series endowment. If so let's say you start a child you before even planning to have children, because when we get married we plan, most of us plan ahead. The save a series endowment, it's something that you can do at the inception of even before having children, so that when it creates that 15 year, because most of our children go to tertiary education at age 15, 16, 17, right? So when it's matured at 15 years, the 15-year plan, that money you get into the lump sum that will create that education funding for a child or for your children.
Ah, yeah. So I think one of the big takeaways you're sharing, Ms. Ramprasad, is that a large part of understanding how insurance really can speak to the needs of children and education is really hooked and hinged on planning. Because it's
Yes,
not about waking up in the middle of a need and saying, oh my gosh, I need to put something in place, but
yes,
recognizing even at the inception of marriage or that family planning experience, that because we know we're going to have kids, because we know it's coming, we're saying, hey, in 15 years I'm going to need this amount of money, so let me get onto my insurance agent, let me start these saving plans, because the lump sum is guaranteed. Is that what you're sharing with us, Ms. Rampasad?
that is exactly what I'm sharing with you.
Awesome. And I really appreciate you clearing that up, because, many parents, they wonder, well, how would it work? And so I think a large part of the takeaway right now is how it would work is being able to plan and do early planning, so that you put things in place not for next 6 months, but the timeline you're really sharing with us is that longer term planning, that's a minimum, let's say 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. So it speaks to maybe that CSEC CAPE need for financing, or that tertiary level need of financing, but it was put in place at least 15 years before. So really
Yes.
what we're encouraging is younger parents or parents of younger children, while kids are young, what you're sharing with us is this is the time to get
Now is the
started,
time.
correct?
Yes. Now is exactly the time.
Yeah,
One of the
I
things I
really
would add,
appreciate that.
one of the one of the things I would add to that is that when parents are younger, so let's say you're a parent who is 25 years old, right? Let's say you have young adults that age that is planning to have a child or already has a child. The premium towards the insurance coverage is a lot more affordable. So it's very minimal compared to when you're in your 40s and you're now looking to have some coverage. The premium is way higher. So the length of years gives you the time to accumulate that funding that you would like to have for your child's education.
Yeah,
That
that sounds great. I really appreciate you taking time to share this. So let me ask you, if a parent wanted to start today, what is the first step that they should take?
they will have to set an appointment with me. They can reach out to me at 746-1469. I would set an appointment that is convenient for a date, with a date that is convenient for both parties. We'll sit and we'll achieve, establish the goals, and then I will share and give my advice on the different type of options based on budgeting and income. I would share how to have that done.
Yeah, great. So, what final words of advice would you share with parents who really are doing their best to secure a bright future for their kids?
My final advice. My final advice is to take this opportunity to educate yourself, to understand, because most people doesn't understand the importance of having insurance coverage or insurance protection, right? I want to repeat again, it would be income protection, because as I would have said previously, uh, what insurance does for you, four things. It provides the need of food, clothing, shelter, and education. That is both for a parent and for a child. So that is how we add value to it, saying that income protection, it replaces the income protection in the event that the parent is not there, right? So that occurs, that amount, whether it be a million or 1.5 million, it's there to take the child through their stage of a childhood until they get to that stage where they have to have a proper education, get into a work field with a desired outcome. That is what I would give the final advice on. Take the time to educate yourself, to understand, and to understand the importance of how life insurance or insurance protection on the whole can benefit you, your household, your family, and your children and your loved ones. That would be my final
Yeah.
words of advice.
Yeah, Ms. Ramsad, this has been awesome. Certainly, you've brought some new perspective to the understanding of how there can be that income protection, understanding that it's very doable. We don't have to sit as parents and think, oh my gosh, it's out of my reach. I can't do it. I can't figure it out. You're really sharing with us that you, as an agent, you're there to help, to support, to guide, to create an understanding. And you've really done an awesome job of giving some perspective so parents can understand how they can position themselves. I'm so happy about this. Thank you so much for taking these minutes out of your day to
You're
share with
most
our
welcome.
parents and the network. Guys, this has been Parent Portal brought to you by Verna Literacy Center. We appreciate Ms. Ramprasad being with us and continue to stay tuned to our social media as we present more of these special features so that you as parents can understand how to better support your children every day at every stage of life. Have a great one.